We're here at the Star Dallas Cowboys headquarters, and there's always something newsworthy
There's
going
no off
on
season
when it comes to the Cowboys. That's why I said I was gonna say it's off season here at the Star, but it's really not.
It's
off
just
season.
on season part 2.
Right, exactly. It's it's less football being played, but there's still a lot of storylines to cover. Speaking of storylines to cover, Demarcus Lawrence saying, nope, I'm not going to take a pay cut.
Yeah.
So what happens next in this situation?
It sounds like the Cowboys have offered him maybe not a strong ultimatum, but if you don't take a pay cut, you might get cut. And that's where the Cowboys are. I mean, when you're this much over the salary cap and you're handcuffed financially, even your best players have got, I mean, they're looking at Amari Cooper making $20 million. Can't afford it. Amari might get cut, might get traded. Demarcus Lawrence, one of your other best players. You've got to make sacrifices to make things, to make everything add up out here at the Star.
Right, and are you thinking that's the way it's going? You think he'll end up not being a Cowboy next season?
I think he's going to see Dak Prescott, maybe his contract has a switch in it that'll save some money. If Demarcus Lawrence wants to be here, and he says I was at the DFW golf show last weekend, Demarcus Lawrence was there telling everybody in the crowd, I'll be back as a Cowboy. So maybe he hadn't gotten the take a pay cut or get cut ultimatum yet, but it sure sounded like he wanted to be a Cowboy. And it's in the Cowboys' best interest. I know Randy Gregory is their top priority in free agency, but if you lose Demarcus Lawrence, all of a sudden you got a huge hole to fill.
Right. Let's talk about that Dallas Cowboys salary cap. Quarterback Dak Prescott has what Mike Fisher is calling a switch in his contract.
He's dumbing it down for us laymen who
so
don't want to get lost.
Can you dumb it down again?
Even dumber? Yeah, that's my expertise.
Okay, great.
Thank you
Going
for that. Thanks for
dumber.
counting on me for that. It sounds like Dak Prescott has in his contract, his $160 million contract he signed last year, just a clause or a switch, if you will, that allows the Cowboys to save $16 million underneath the salary cap. So you're 21 over, you're like, we can't do anything. Well, when this switch is magically flipped, all of a sudden they're only $5 million over. Now you can do some things.
Right.
It's not something Dak has to approve. It's not like an added asterisk at the end of the contract. It was already negotiated, baked into the deal. And basically it's, not to get technical at all, we're dumbing it down, right?
Yeah, but some technicalities are good.
It's adding money to the end of Dak's contract. Not how much, but just how. So right now, his current existing contract, his final year of his base salary is $0. Well, now after the switch is flipped, there'll be some money there. So basically, you're just paying him in the left pocket to the right pocket, and the bottom line for the Cowboys is we have a little salary cap relief.
Well, and not a terrible thing for Dak Prescott because he has a left pocket and a right pocket,
Yeah,
so it worked out okay.
We should all have those first world problems, right?
For sure, absolutely. So let's talk a little bit more about free agency. What do you think is the Dallas Cowboys' biggest priority and most important thing they need to accomplish?
I think it's kind of switched because of the, not injury, but the very serious hip surgery to Blake Jarwin.
Okay.
Dalton Schultz is one of your free agents, high priority, had a great year last year, right? You kind of say, well, Dalton Schultz, we got some leverage with Blake Jarwin. He undergoes a very serious hip injury. He's not going to be ready for the start of 2022 season.
That's a huge impact.
It's a huge impact, and Dalton Schultz is now, really, you're going to count on the guy that's over there, not going to play. So I think that becomes even more of a priority with Dalton Schultz. They may franchise tag him at $11 million, and Tuesday's the deadline for that. So look for that to happen. But either way, the Cowboys need some tight end help, so look for that in the draft or maybe even free agency. Yeah.
Wow, very interesting. So the NFL Combine is over. Now we have the NFL Draft to look forward to, and the Cowboys really have struck gold in the last 2 drafts. But not only have they struck gold, they then were able to help get those guys better. They really developed players like CeeDee Lamb, Micah Parsons.
Home runs. Absolutely.
Truly. So
Trevon Diggs.
Is there some sort of great rookie culture going on around Cowboys?
It's funny because if you ask, obviously frustrated Cowboys fans, Jerry the GM screwed up another.
Right.
Look at his recent drafts.
The recent drafts are incredible.
Any team would take that. And you're a good point that you make. It's one thing to draft CeeDee Lamb. It's another thing to know how to use him in the slot. It's
and
one
to
thing
develop him
and to
put him in the right position.
All these diverse personalities, let's say, to make the. It's one thing to draft Micah Parsons and then to say, what if we put him as a stand-up edge rusher, not just a linebacker?
Yeah.
Because that's what he played in college. So yeah, just taking the talent and the skill that they draft is one thing, but nurturing it and knowing how to implement that talent.
Right.
They've hit home runs a couple years in a row.
Yeah, and they do have another first-round draft pick. So any inklings on what you're thinking the Cowboys will do? I know when I was at the Combine, it felt like everyone was talking and really focusing on bolstering that offensive line.
Yeah, I'd say offensive line, as a long scribe of this team, the last playmaking safety they had was a guy named Darren Woodson. And yeah, it's been that long. I would like to see them get a guy who can cover and also make plays. Now last year, their top 3 safeties, as far as snaps, they're all free agents. So they've got to find somebody. They haven't used, I think Roy Williams was the last safety they really hit on maybe as a draft pick. But to me, that's something that they got to shore up, because defensively, the defensive line was good last year. The linebackers were good last year. Trevon Diggs' corners were good. Safeties is still a weak spot that they need to address.
Yeah.